Okay, hi again guys. Right, something a bit different this time. Obviously we've all had to deal with the pandemic over the last year in all sorts of different ways. And, sorry, I've got a few unfortunately, there were a couple of occasions last year where I had to spend some substantial time away from home, effectively bringing all my qualifications up to date. Now, originally I was going to be doing that locally, but unfortunately with COVID they had to shut down their training facilities, and so that was a non-starter. So found a training place that could do the job, but it was in Kent. That's 250 miles away from where I live. Luckily it's actually around the corner from where my mum and dad and my brother live, so that wasn't so bad. Not that I could stay with them, given the COVID restrictions. I had to stay in a hotel. What we're going to see now is what happened in September of last year, when the government started bringing in local lockdowns in the United Kingdom. For those who don't know, what was decided to do here, rather than doing more national lockdowns in the autumn of last year, they decided to basically lock down certain parts of the country that had spikes in COVID. That really affected my ability to go wherever I wanted to, unfortunately. As you'll see in the commentary in the video, normally a train journey from where I live down to London and then into Kent would take me no more than about 4 or 5 hours. This particular journey took me 16 hours, and the explanation for that will be in the video. So I was basically doing the 2365 03, which I'd already done and passed the 02 earlier in the year, but this was the 03 one. So a lot of this, I had to take a computer with me for the hotel room, and it was luckily the project work that's associated with that level 3 course I was actually able to do in the hotel room, and got that covered. That was all done and dusted, but it meant being a month in the end. Just for that, I ended up spending probably the best part of 4 months away from home last year, doing all sorts of different courses and getting up to date. 18th edition, getting with 2365 under my belt. Then at Christmas, the biggie, the periodic testing course that everybody fails, and I passed it. So fantastic! I was well chuffed with that one. Anyway, and it is hard. Anyway, I digress, as I always do. So bit different. Hopefully it's quite comical in places as to what goes on this. I've not edited this. This is exactly how it happened. And believe me, it's a journey I never want to repeat. I do like trains, don't get me wrong, but not 16 hours on them. At least not like this. Anyway, if I'm going to do a journey like that, I'll do the Trans-America. Thank you very much. Much more interesting. Anyway, sit back, enjoy. Please remember to click on the subscribe button, and I'd love to hear the comments, especially from those in the UK that went through something very similar last year, if they were trying to get places. Do share your experiences in the comments, and okay, so enjoy. So here we are on the first stage of a 16-hour train journey. I just say this journey is turning into a nightmare. This is not the Glasgow train I was supposed to be on. That Glasgow train got cancelled. So this Glasgow train is to go from Liverpool to come from Manchester. It's going to give me a 20-minute window at Glasgow to get my train to Edinburgh. So stay tuned. I may be staying the night on Edinburgh's platform at this rate. Okay, man, living the life. Here we go. Pork pie, cheese sandwiches. I'm not quite sure what that was, and a baby milk. There's some chocolate in there, and look, that's it. Living the high life. There's me. I'm getting the door. And there we are. Whew. Walked off of the train. There we go. So, showed you the GBRF train at the front. I'm taking a picture of that as well. Hopefully the video came out okay with that. So, here's my room for the night. I think I'll sleep on the bottom bunk. I'm not getting out there. Anyway, I think the loo's down the other end of the train. A nice mirror. What else we got in here? The air conditioning. I think there's a USB port there. And a bit for your phone. All plugs and all USB sockets over here. Got a sink. I think there's a table that pulls out. And there it is under there. And a towel. Combination guide. Yeah, and we've got a bottle of water. Look at that. So that's my window for the night. Another mirror, and the door can open between compartments. So if you've got more than one person, you can open the compartments out. This is the small one. This is the smallest, as you can see. Yeah, you couldn't swing a cat in here, but anyway, it'll do for the night. Right, trying to get rid of it. Right. Okay, so we're settled in. I'm going to be sleeping down on the bottom bunk, as I said. It's very difficult to get. It's really hard. I'll be honest, I don't know whether I'm going to get a lot of sleep. You know, me older me looking out the window. Anyway, so we'll be off in a few minutes. Yep, about 5 minutes we'll be off. First thing this train's going to do, it's going to stop in about 10-15 minutes at Carstairs, I think it's called, where we'll be joined by another train from Glasgow, and that will be hitched up either to the front or to the back of this one, not quite sure which. the GBRF loco. It would be interesting to see if that's the train that takes us all the way to Euston. It might be the train that the loco that connects up from for the Glasgow service. If you're wondering why I didn't get this train from Glasgow, because it was packed, it was full. I couldn't get a ticket on that train, so I had to come here. So I think it's about time I explain why the only video I have up until now has been the train I got from Newton to Liverpool. Let's just recap on what I was trying to do. During the COVID lockdown, unfortunately, Manchester went into lockdown, Preston went into lockdown. The weekend I'm supposed to go down to London, King's Cross was shut, and the line on the West Coast Mainline was shut from Birmingham to Euston. How am I supposed to get to London? I didn't really want to go anywhere near where there were lockdowns, so I didn't want to go anywhere near Manchester. So my first thought was, let's go to Liverpool. I'll pick up a Avanti Express train from Liverpool down to London. No, they weren't selling the tickets for that. So given that it's at the end of the summer holidays, I thought by the time they do the tickets, I'm going to end up not getting one. So I thought, no, I've got to go the way I need to. I couldn't go down on the LNER because I couldn't get to King's Cross. So Euston was still the option, but it had to be a different way, excuse me. So in the end, I had to plan a route which was from Newton to Liverpool, Liverpool to Glasgow, Glasgow to Edinburgh, night train down to London, arriving Saturday morning at 7. Not great. Anyway, you'd think that was a plan that would work nicely? No, of course it wouldn't. Got to Liverpool, Glasgow train cancelled. So I was then told I had to go to Preston, pick up the Preston train to Glasgow and then come over here. Give me 20-minute connection time. Not a lot if anything was to go wrong. So in the end, what I ended up doing was I ended up getting a train back to Manchester and picked up the Glasgow train from there. Actually going somewhere where I didn't want to go in the first place. But I got the Glasgow train. That got in 20 minutes before the connection from Glasgow to Edinburgh. That went fine. That train got here about an hour and 40 minutes before this train due to go. Boarding on this train started about 11ish, thereabouts. Went quite smoothly, to be honest with you. They split the train into two, so people in B, C and D went down first, and then E, F and whatever the other coach at the back is. I don't think it's G. But anyway, so they split them all up, and there aren't many people on this train at all, to be honest. I would be hugely surprised if this train's even half full, let alone anything else. Obviously there's no catering facilities, the club car's not open, so you're basically stuck in the room, unfortunately. But what can you do? There's nothing you can do about that, really. So the train's due into Euston at 7, just after 7, and we're allowed to stay in the room till 7:30. Crossing my fingers, I've got a connecting train out of St Pancras down to Rainham at about 8 o'clock-ish, thereabouts. So hopefully that'll work out okay. This is the only train journey we're doing this time, because kindly my mum and dad are bringing me. All the doors are shut. I believe we might be off in a second. The whistles have just gone. So anyway, so I'm going to settle down. I'm probably going to stay awake beyond the point where they're going to do all the shunting at Carstairs. Whether I'll fall asleep then, I don't know. This train is actually going to go past our house at about 3:20. So I left just after 2 this afternoon. It's now 20 to midnight. I'm 250 miles in the wrong direction, and I'm about to pass within 100 yards of my house in around 4 hours time. 12 hours after I left, 13 hours after I left. The whole journey is going to take 16 hours, or we're off. The whole journey is going to take 16 hours. Put that into perspective, you could nearly get to Australia. It really will be good when this whole COVID thing is over and done with and we can get back to some sort of normality, because to take 16 hours just to get to London is ludicrous. Gives me a chance to go on the sleeper though. So, we'll catch up with this a bit later. Looky, we're actually leaving Edinburgh. We're actually, for the first time on this entire trip, going in the right direction. Right, here we go. So we have window lights. I'll just turn them off, turn them on. Over here, up here is the main light switch, and the train just had to do that. So I turn that light off, and we go back to here, turn that off. It's really dark, right? So we can do that, which is nice. I do like that. That's pretty cool. So I could actually take some night shots out the train window. Yep, it's not dark outside. We're actually in a tunnel. I couldn't have timed that better. Great. There you go. What a good demonstration that was. Okay, I'm going to whisper. It is 3:30 in the morning and I've just passed home. Yep, and you can't see a thing. I'm aware of that. But take my word for it, we've just passed under the M62 and just gone across Winnick Junction. So 13 hours and I've done 100 yards. Got to be a record. So there you have it. Obviously, once I got to Euston, it actually got there an hour early, so that was okay. That wasn't too bad. 6 o'clock in the morning. Euston was empty. I don't think I've got a picture of that, but if I have, it'll appear in a second. Anyway, after that, walked over to St Pancras. Those who don't know, Euston to St Pancras is only about a 10-15 minute walk. It's not a problem. Save you going down the tube, especially with COVID around. Anyway, so on the train out of St Pancras down to Kent, I think I was down there about 7:30 if I remember rightly. Ready to head off. One thing I should say is I was allowed to be with my mum and dad at this time. It wouldn't have been earlier in the year. That wouldn't have been allowed, but this time it was. So I stayed down with my mum and dad for the weekend, then went off to where the course was being held and stayed there in a hotel room for a month. I never want to see a pizza again, or McDonald's, because that's all I had. They had no restaurants running. None of the restaurants were running in the hotels. They only had the hotels open, and then really, I think, if I remember rightly, for critical workers, which is what I was. I am, sorry. So yeah, but yeah. Anyway, like I say, different video. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and hopefully there's a few people who might be able to sympathise with it if they went through the same thing. Click on the old subscribe button if you're enjoying these videos, and give us a comment in the comment section. I will answer them. I'll be very interested to read what other people had to go through. Anyway, so probably normal service will be resumed on the next video, I expect. So we'll see you then.